Hey everyone, welcome. As mountain bikers, it's pretty important for us to keep an eye on the chain wear because that extends the overall life of the drivetrain. And in this video, no, I'm not going to talk about how to clean and lube your chain, even though I might mention what we actually use every day. But I'm going to focus on how to measure the chain wear in an easy way, whether you have specialized tools or not. So let's get to it. Everything we talk about in this video will apply to any bike that you might have, whether that's 7-speed to 13-speed, road, gravel, mountain bike, single speed, it doesn't matter. All the chains that we use today use what's called a half-inch pitch, meaning that the distance between the pins here is half an inch or 12.7 millimeters. Now, no matter what you do, you're gonna get chain wear. There's two types of chain wear out there. One that is the stretching or elongation of the actual chain. And the second type of chain wear that's not that obvious is side to side or the flexing of the chain. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end. First of all, let's take this elongation. Why is that important? Well, it is important because as the chain stretches, the rollers of the chain are not going to be in the right position on the chainring and the cassette, and it's going to wear that prematurely. Obviously, you want to prevent that from happening because those are expensive components, and that's the reason why manufacturers are going to tell you for 11 and 12 and 13 speed, replace that chain before or when it reaches 0.5. 0.5 meaning 0.5% elongation. So if you take those 10 links, so that would be 127 millimeters for a brand new chain. When it stretches to 0.5%, that's going to be 127.6 millimeters. 0.75 would be 127.9, and 1% stretch is going to mean 128.27 millimeters. For people that like to use inches, they usually consider 24 links, so that would be exactly 1 foot or 12 inches. And 0.5, it's going to be 12 inches and 1/16. Obviously, this is in theory easy to measure. In reality, not that easy to measure by a fraction of a millimeter. And that's why many people would recommend you to go straight to chain checkers instead. If you're using 10-speed, 9-speed, 8-speed chains, we usually say that a wear down to 0.75, it's still acceptable. And you're gonna see those two thresholds here on the tools that are provided to us by different manufacturers. Now, interestingly, even SRAM has a chain checker option. Take a look at this. It has a 0.8 marking on it because, believe it or not, they suggest 0.8 as the point where you should replace the flat top chains. That is for 12 and 13 speed. I don't recommend that. And I would recommend you guys invest in a couple of these. I have two that I'm using all the time. One is called CC2 from Park Tool. One is called CC4 from Park. They have a CC 4.2 these days. And they also have one that's made by Pedro, the black one. This is what's called a 2-point chain checker. The way it works is very simply, you insert it in the chain, let's say at the top here, and then you push this bracket in. 0.25 that you see here on the chain is perfectly fine. However, in our experience, this CC2 tool is very, very conservative. So if you're just using this to replace your chain at 0.5, I think you're gonna leave a lot of life in that chain. So the CC4 and the Pedro's chain checker tool, these are more exact. These are what's called a 3-point chain checker, and you can see them clearly marked right here on the Pedro's tool. I would say replace when you reach 0.5 with this tool or the Pedro's. Both of these guys give you the same indication. The only difference is that the Park tool grabs a few more links as opposed to the Pedro that pretty much goes 5 inches. And if you're asking me about any tips and tricks on using these tools, I would say make sure that the chain is in the middle of the cassette so you have the straightest possible line between chainring and the cassette. And also make sure that you are not measuring over the quick link of your chain, so get that out of the way, and always measure in 2 spots, so top and bottom of the chain. Do you guys measure the stretch in your chain regularly? What kind of tools do you use? Do you use the CC2, CC4, Pedro's, or anything else? Let me know in the comments below. Now, I almost hear some of you saying, but there's a problem with the bigger rollers on the 12-speed chains, bigger rollers on the Eagle chains, even bigger rollers on the T-Type chains. They're gonna mask somehow the stretch on the chain. But if you look on the Park website, on the Pedro's website, they're gonna tell you that these chain checkers are good for any chain, whether that's standard or flat top, 1 to 13 speed. And remember, we also have a SRAM chain checker that has that marking at 0.8. So all that is good and fine, but I have to warn you guys about one more type of wear that I noticed on our chains. If you look at the CC4, this is an Eagle chain, so bigger rollers. Yes, this is not even at 0.5, so this should be a perfectly good chain, right? Well, the problem is there is wear here between the plates, so in time, this chain became more flexible side to side, and that's affecting the shifting on the cassette because that's pretty much what the derailleur uses to push the chain. It needs slightly stiffer chain than this. So I'm curious to hear if you guys keep an eye on that shifting quality of your drivetrain and whether you blame it on the chain, whether you see an elongated chain or not. I didn't believe that was the case, but as soon as I replaced the chain with a new one, the shifting went back to being perfect. So again, keep an eye on that for the 12-speed, 13-speed Eagle and T-Type flat top. The side-to-side wear of the chain, it's gonna affect your overall experience. What about that method of just pulling on the chain while on the chainring to see if it easily comes off the teeth? Well, that's kind of a crude approximation of a chain wear. Obviously, you have no idea of the stretch, but it can mean that your chain needs to be checked. Are you one of those people that will just use the chain, cassette, and chainring until they start skipping? I know some people use it that way and then replace all three. In our experience, it's pretty expensive proposition, way more expensive than just replacing a chain. So what do you guys think about what I included in this video? Do you use any other methods to keep an eye on your chain? What kind of chain lube do you use? By the way, we use wax these days and we like it a lot. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, hope to see you guys on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.